Okay, I'm doing my chores. It's an owl. There's an airplane flying overhead too, so the sound of the jet may be drowning out the sound of the owl. I don't know, but yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, there it is. Some rabbits have been playing around here. Let me go back here. See if we can get a better. If we can hear it better. You can see where the deer have been traveling through. Neat sound anyway. Yeah. Neat sound. Alright, let's head back over to the stove here. I'm making my stew. Oh my goodness, eh? Making my stew. Making my stew. Oh yeah. Making my stew. Here we go. Let me turn the light on here. Oh. I'm hungry, so I went ahead and just I forgoed the candle flame tonight, and just figured I'll put it on here quick, get it all heated up in a hurry. There we go. Now we'll put there we go, we'll put that back. All right. I got to bring out 2 more bottles too. Okay. Here we go. Rocky will be waiting at the door probably. No, surprisingly not. Hey, yo. I know, Rocky, I know. Oh, I know. You wait. You just wait and see what we do. It's exciting. It's exciting, it is. Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, Rocky. My goodness, what a good cat. I'm very lucky to know you, you know. I am. There's an owl hooting out there. An old hoot owl. Can you believe it? A darn old hoot owl. Yeah. All right. I got to get my my tin bowl out here. Ooh. Even turning on a light is a 2-part process. There we go. Hi, Rocky. Yeah, we're going to have our dinner. We are. I can assure you of that we are. Yes, we are. Ooh. Wow. Oh, my goodness. I was just watching a documentary on Albert Guay. I've heard about him before, actually. I heard the story before. That was a man who in 1949, it's kind of a famous Canadian story, a crime story. In 1949, he wanted to get rid of his wife so he could be with his girlfriend. He had a mistress, and he wanted to be with her. And of course, in those days, Quebec, he lived in Quebec. Quebec was very Catholic. Quebec was pretty much controlled by the Catholic Church under Premier Duplessis. And the Duplessis had, the Catholic Church had pretty much a stranglehold on Quebec. And of course, the Catholic Church did not go for divorce. It was just not allowed, you know. And so, and also you couldn't be living in sin or whatever. You couldn't be living common law or whatever, you know. So, Gouet needed to get rid of his wife in order to be with his girlfriend and not incur the wrath of the Catholic Church and of the government of Quebec and of society, too. And so, he had a bomb planted on an airplane that his wife was going to be on. And he got caught anyway. It turns out the way he had it timed, the bomb would have went off over water. And in those days, the evidence would have been lost. They never would have been able to recover the wreckage of the plane. Really, did they be able to get the evidence? The evidence would have been destroyed of what happened if it had worked the way he had hoped it was going to work. So he had the timer set that the plane would have been over water when the bomb exploded and took it down. But unfortunately for him, the plane had a mechanical issue prior to takeoff, and so a mechanic had to come out onto the tarmac. They haven't got to this part of the story yet, but I've heard this story before and I've read about it too. A mechanic had to come out onto the tarmac and had to do some repairs, so the plane was late taking off, which of course threw the timing off. The plane ended up crashing into the side of a hill after it exploded, instead of crashing into the water like Albert Gouet had hoped it would. And so it was proven fairly easily that it was in fact a bomb that had taken it down. And it was traced back to Albert Gouet. It was traced to Albert Gouet and to his girlfriend's brother and to somebody else too that they knew, some woman by the name of Petrie. Her last name was Petrie. Anyway, all three of them ended up hanging. When Mrs. Petrie was hung, she was decapitated because she was a fairly hefty woman, and you know, heavy-set people don't do very well getting hanged. So she was decapitated, and that disturbed the executioner enough that he retired. He did. He couldn't do any more executions after that. He was so bothered by it. Anyway, that's the story. Probably not the best dinner time story, but I enjoy those kinds of stories, though. It's history, you know, and stuff that really did happen. And when you see the things that people did, the lengths that people go to sometimes, you know, human nature being what it is, the uglier side of human nature, it is interesting. At least I find it to be. Anyway, he'd sent his wife on the plane on an errand, really. She was supposed to be picking up a jewelry box for him, like a jewelry case, because he was a jewelry salesman. But anyway, that was how he got her on the plane. And she was supposed to pick up this jewelry case for him. But that's the story anyway, of Albert Gouet and Madame Petrie, and there was another man too. They were all involved in it together. Madame Petrie delivered the suitcase with the bomb in it to the airport in Mrs. Gouet's name. She brought it there in a taxi cab. And that's how she was implicated. Now, her story was that her brother had asked her, or somebody, I forget, or Gouet or somebody, I don't know, somebody had asked her to bring it to the airport as a favor, and she had no idea that there was a bomb in it. And that may have been so. That's never really been established if she knew what she was bringing to the airport or not. But they convicted her and hanged her anyway. They didn't fool around in those days. The fact that she had anything to do with it, even a peripheral role, was enough that she had to be done away with too. But yeah, anyway, that's the story. And it's interesting. They're only at the point now where the plane has just crashed. But like I say, I know all this other stuff because I've read about it before. I always found it to be a very interesting story. At the time, it was the worst air disaster in Canadian history. And it was the first time that a CP Airways, Canadian Pacific Airways plane, had ever been involved in a fatality. And there were quite a few people killed on it. Of course, everybody on the plane was killed. And there was a crew of 3 or 4, a pilot and other crew members, a stewardess. There was a couple other men, I believe, too, that were crew members. And then there was a young family, a man and his wife and their child. And then there was there were 3 different businessmen from a copper mine. There was a fella who owned a garage, like a mechanic. There was some other businessmen from some other company on there. And, of course, there was Mrs. Guay, Albert Guay's wife, who was the target of the whole thing. Yeah, quite a thing. All right, we'll talk to you later.